Welcome back to the show. You are listening to Fix the Funnel with GA Fix.
It is great to be back.
We have a massive show today. This is episode number 7, and we are ripping the Band-Aid off a topic that has likely caused a lot of
A
panic.
lot of confusion for sure.
And probably some very angry Slack messages in marketing departments over the last few weeks. We are doing a deep dive into the February 2026 Google Discover Core update.
It is absolutely the topic of the month.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it really deserves to be.
It really does. So let's set the scene for everyone listening, because I think a lot of people might be feeling this without, knowing the name for it.
Mhm.
Picture this. It's mid-February. You open up your analytics dashboard, you check your organic search, your standard SEO traffic, and everything looks fine.
Right. Stable, maybe even up a bit.
Exactly. No red flags, which is usually where people stop looking.
It is. They see organic is okay and they breathe a sigh of relief.
But then you toggle over to your referral traffic, or that, messy direct bucket, and you just see a massacre.
A cliff edge.
A total cliff edge where your traffic used to be.
That is the classic symptom, the
Yeah.
number one sign of this specific update.
So if you're seeing that pattern-stable search, but referral or discover traffic just plummeting, you aren't crazy. You are not alone.
No, you have likely been hit by the February 2026 update.
And we are not talking about a small leak in the funnel here. We are talking about Google Discover, a platform that pushes content to over 800 million active users.
Every single month.
Every month.
The scale is what makes this a code red.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, marketers treated Discover as a nice to have,
Yeah.
the cherry on
Yeah,
top.
bonus traffic.
Exactly. But with 800 million users, for many publishers, especially news, lifestyle, finance Discover, has quietly become a larger traffic driver than traditional search.
So when Google turns that dial,
It's not a ripple effect, it's a tsunami.
and that is our mission today. We are going to unpack the nature of this beast, look at the 3 specific algorithmic shifts that happened, and most importantly, lay out a recovery plan.
Because the playbook for fixing this is not the same as fixing your SEO.
Not at all. It's a completely different game.
Completely.
So let's start with the nature of the beast. Segment 1, what actually happened?
Right, because usually we hear a core update and we think about our keyword rankings, we panic about the SRPs.
Yeah, search engine results pages.
But the documentation on this one is explicit, and this is the crucial distinction. This was a Discover-focused core update.
Meaning it targets the feed, not the query?
Precisely. This update changed how the recommendation engine selects content for personalized feeds, not how it ranks answers to direct questions.
That distinction is why I called it the silent killer before we started, because if my traffic drops, my first instinct is to yell at my SEO team to fix the rankings.
Yeah, that's the wrong reflex. In fact, it's dangerous.
How so?
I have seen teams start tearing apart their H1 tags, rewriting meta descriptions, changing site architecture because of a traffic drop. They assume they've been penalized in search.
But their search rankings were fine.
Their search rankings were totally fine. So you start messing with your technical SEO to fix a Discover problem. You might actually break the one thing that was keeping you afloat.
So you're performing surgery on a healthy organ.
That's it. Exactly. And because Discover is passive, it pushes content to you. The criteria are just so much stricter. It's not, did you answer the question? It's, did you satisfy an interest?
Okay, let's get into the weeds on those criteria. The analysis points to 3 major shifts. Let's tackle the first one. Improved local preference.
This is a fascinating, almost philosophical pivot for Google. For, the last decade, the internet has been moving toward this borderless model.
The best content wins.
The best content wins. If you wrote the best guide on baking sourdough, it didn't matter if you were a baker in Berlin, Boston, or Bangkok. If it was good, Google showed it.
Meritocracy of the web.
Right. But this February update introduced a heavy weighting for geographic relevance. The algorithm is now aggressively prioritizing publishers that are local to the user.
So practically speaking, what does that look like for a user?
It means if you're sitting in the UK, your Discover feed is now going to be much more densely populated with UK-based domains. Even if a US publisher has a technically better article on a general topic.
So the UK user is just less likely to see it now.
Much less likely.
That feels, I don't know, like a regression, doesn't it? I mean, if I want the best information on Python coding, I don't care if the author's in London or San Francisco.
That's the friction point. And for highly technical, universal topics like coding, the impact is softer. But for anything with a hint of cultural nuance, lifestyle, finance, news, reviews, that local filter is strong.
So Google's data must show that people engage more with content that feels native to them.
They trust it more. The definition of relevant has shifted from just topic match to topic match plus location match.
It's moving from global best to local best.
Oh, correct.
That sounds like a nightmare for big global brands. If I'm running a content hub in New York, trying to reach customers in Germany and Japan, am I just invisible now?
You aren't invisible, but you are definitely handicapped. If you're relying on a one-size-fits-all translated strategy, you're taking a hit. The algorithm is looking for local currency, local examples, cultural references.
It's like the return of the local newspaper model, but for the algorithm.
In a sense, yes. It forces publishers to stop treating the internet as one big, homogeneous blob.
Okay, let's move to change number 2. And I have to say, as a user, I am all for this one, the crackdown on click-driven headlines.
The death of the curiosity gap, or at least of severe injury of it.
You won't believe what this vegetable does to your liver.
Exactly. That stuff. Google has tightened the screws on that, but the technical part is what's interesting. It's not just looking for banned words. It's analyzing sentiment alignment.
Sentiment alignment. Okay, explain that. How does an algorithm know I'm being sensational?
It's looking at the promise versus the delivery. We call it the information delta.
Okay.
If the headline creates this massive promise, a huge secret, or a shocking result, and the body content is just generic common knowledge advice,
The algorithm flags it.
it flags it as a low-quality interaction. It's basically detecting the bait and switch.
That is incredibly sophisticated. It's like it's asking, did this article actually earn the excitement it tried to generate?
That's a great way to put it. In the past, you could trick the algorithm with a high click-through rate. If everyone clicked, Google thought this must be good.
But now they're looking at what happens after the click.
Yes, if you trick someone into clicking and they realize in 3 seconds that it's just fluff, they bounce. And that bounce, that feeling of being tricked, is now a much, much heavier penalty.
So honesty is the new SEO strategy.
In Discover, absolutely. If you promise a Ferrari in the headline and deliver a bicycle in the text, you are done.
Which brings us to change number 3. And this feels like the final nail in the coffin for those viral churn factories, topical authority and EEAT.
This is what we call the one-hit wonder problem.
Right. So walk us through this. How has the evaluation of authority changed?
Well, historically, you could have a generic website. Maybe you write about technology. Suddenly, a celebrity does something wild. You write a gossip piece about it. It trends.
And you get a million hits from Discover.
The newsjacking strategy. It's been a staple for a decade. But this update seems to have put a firewall around that. The algorithm now heavily weights topical authority. It wants to see a cluster of content.
A cluster.
Imagine a spider web. If you want to show up and Discover for electric vehicles, you can't just write one breaking news story. The system wants to see that you have a history of writing about battery tech, charging infrastructure, EV legislation.
It wants to see a library, not just a flyer.
A library, that's a perfect analogy. And this all connects back to EAT experience, expertise, authority, and trust.
So the algorithm is asking, does this publisher have the right to speak on this topic?
It is. If your site is 90% gardening tips and you write one viral article about Bitcoin, Discover is now much less likely to pick it up, even if engagement is high.
That's huge. So even if people are clicking, Google might suppress it because you're not a credible authority on that subject.
Exactly. They are sacrificing short-term engagement clicks for long-term user trust. They don't want Discover to become a tabloid wasteland.
Okay, so to recap the 3 big shifts, local over global, clarity over clickbait, and authority clusters over one-hit wonders.
That's the trifecta of February 2026.
Now, before we get to the recovery plan, and I know everyone is waiting for this, we have to talk about the why. You said treating search and Discover as the same thing is a fatal error. Help us build that mental model.
You have to look at the user intent. It's the fundamental difference. Search is intent-based.
I have a problem. I type it in.
How do I fix a leaky faucet? Best CRM for small business. The user's driving the bus. Google is just the map.
Okay.
Discover is prediction-based. The user hasn't asked for anything. They're just, scrolling on their phone. Google has to guess what they might want to see.
So it's a mind reader versus a librarian?
Perfect analogy. And because there's no search query, no keywords, Google relies on a completely different set of signals.
What are those signals then? If not keywords, what are they matching?
They're matching identity and behavior, Pat's history, location, what topics you usually read about. But the most critical metric for this update is something called engagement quality.
define engagement quality, because usually engagement just means clicks or likes.
And in the Discover context, a click is just the entry fee. Engagement quality is, did the user actually read it? Did they find value?
So we're talking about dwell time and scroll depth.
Exactly. If a user clicks your article and then exits back to the feed in under 10 seconds, that is a toxic signal for Discover.
The pogo stick effect.
Yes, but in search, pogo sticking might just mean I didn't find the answer. In Discover, it means Google made a bad prediction. It failed the user. So they punished the publisher who caused that failure much more severely.
And that explains the clickbait crackdown. It causes high bounce rates, which makes Google look bad.
Exactly. And industry tracking tools showed this. The volatility was concentrated in news, finance, and informational blogs.
The sectors most prone to that churn and burn content.
The ones who are right in the crosshairs.
Okay, so we've admired the problem. We understand the beast is predicting, not answering. Let's talk recovery. How do we fix the funnel?
Let's fix it.
If my Discover traffic has flatlined, what is step one?
Strategy number 1 is going to hurt for some people. Depth over volume.
That sounds so counterintuitive. When traffic drops, the panic response is, post more. We need to make up the numbers.
And that is the worst thing you can do right now. If you flood the zone with thin content, you're just giving the algorithm more reasons to distrust you.
So stop publishing more and start focusing on those authority clusters.
Yes. If you're that finance blog we mentioned, don't write 10 shallow articles on stock market tips. Pick one core topic, say tax implications for remote workers. Write the definitive guide.
And then build supporting articles around it.
Build a web of context. You're signaling to the algorithm, we own this topic. You are proving you're a safe bet for the prediction engine.
Okay. Strategy number 2.
Improve geographic relevance.
So how do I make my content less globally generic without rewriting everything?
You have to localize your data points and your examples. It's work, but it's necessary. If you're writing about real estate trends, you can't just quote global averages anymore.
You need to cite local sources.
If you want to rank in Germany, cite the Bundesbank. If you want to rank in the US, cite the Fed. You have to prove this content was made for this user in this place.
Got it. Strategy number 3, headlines. What's the actionable advice?
Align your headlines. The advice is to write clear, honest headlines.
Which makes every copywriter weep. Clear and honest usually means boring.
It doesn't have to be boring. It just has to be accurate. Front load the value. Instead of, you won't believe this tax hack, use the Section 179 deduction explained for freelancers.
It's less sexy, but it targets the right person.
And more importantly, the person who clicks that headline actually wants to read about Section 179. They won't bounce. Your engagement quality goes up. The algorithm learns you satisfy the user.
So you're optimizing for the stay, not just the click.
Exactly.
And finally, strategy number 4, the technical tip.
Yes. Monitoring. You must review Discover performance independently from search in Google Search Console.
We mentioned this at the top, but why is this so vital for recovery?
Because you need to know which lever to pull. If your aggregated data is down, you're flying blind. But if you see, okay, search is flat, Discover is down 40%, you know you don't need a technical SEO audit.
You need a content strategy pivot.
You stop trying to fix the engine when the problem is the tires.
Putting this all together, this really feels like a maturation of the platform. Discover always felt like the Wild West.
It was the sugar rush of the internet.
And now?
Now, Google's putting it on a diet. This update is a clear signal that Discover is moving toward quality, local relevance, and meaningful content.
It's raising the bar.
It is. And look, sites that depend on short-term click spikes, they're going to have a very bad year.
But the sites playing the long game.
The ones building real authority, earning audience trust, they will see steady growth. Because Google's goal is to predict what users actually enjoy. If you provide that, the algorithm will eventually find you.
It's almost reassuring. It means we can stop chasing the algorithm and just start focusing on the user again.
Which is what we should have been doing all along.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought.
Okay.
We've talked about signals, metrics, trust, depth. But if Google Discover is moving entirely toward prediction based on genuine human engagement, are we approaching a point where optimizing for the algorithm and optimizing for the human reader finally become the exact same thing?
That is the holy grail, isn't it? If the machine gets smart enough, you just write for the person.
And wouldn't that be a nice change of pace?
It certainly would.
That's it for this deep dive into the February 2026 update. Check your headlines, check your local data, and keep building that authority.
And don't panic.
Yeah.
Just fix the funnel.
Thanks for listening to Fix the Funnel with GA Fix. We'll see you in the next one.